What's going to happen today? Earnings so far haven't been great.
We're going to welcome back now Charles Payne. You have Matt Tuttle from Tuttle Wealth Management joining us again. Of course, we have Ashley joining us from across the pond as well. And let's take a look at futures because, Connell, you mentioned S&P futures were below fair value.
Yeah, a little bit below fair value. They've been hanging in there overall.
But
so it looks like
take a look, though, because
that's an indication of a lower open now.
Right, now Dow and NASDAQ have turned a little bit. Matt, you said, listen, this earnings news from Costco to be expected. We didn't get your take on Time Warner, so let's get that now. I mean, what do you think about these markets? Are they just holding close to that 8,000 level for the Dow and also the 830 level for S&P 500?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 7,800 on the Dow as a level that the market doesn't seem to want to go through. So we would look at these levels as, from a risk-reward standpoint, a pretty good entry point.
So to go ahead and buy today?
To maybe start scaling in.
What does that mean
level.
exactly?
You know, if you were going to be 50% in the market, maybe not doing it all today, but slowly over the next couple of days start getting into the market.
Charles, do you agree with that?
I think the only difference I would say is not to scale in. If you're going to do it, you know, you want to take a sizable position in the sense that by the same token that this is a good support area, on the top side we haven't been able to break out. So I think if we hold, we'll get a trading bounce, and I'd look to sell into it. So,
and get out of it at some point.
Right, Dow. The first key resistance number is 8,400 through there, around 9,000. As we approach that, I'd be scaling out. But you know, I do agree with Matt in that sense that the market has been finding reasons to hold up here. We had a couple of firms out with bad numbers yesterday. You know, UPS, for instance,
right,
and the stock was up.
What about Electronic Arts last night? Wasn't that the same deal? That
same sort of deal.
That number wasn't good, was it?
That is a horrendous number, you know. But pretty good candor from the CEO. I think Wall Street appreciated that he didn't necessarily just blame the economy and said, listen, you know, we made some mistakes as well.
Well, actually, we're also kind of, I mean, what would you say, Charles? Probably halfway through the first quarter at this point. I mean, as far as timeline goes, Ashley, I mean, we're going to get towards the end, and you know, the question is liquidations. What happens at the end of the first quarter? What are you hearing from investors there as far as just getting through the first part of what's supposed to be a really rough year?
Yeah, well, and you know, it's what's interesting as these companies come out, companies seem to be getting rewarded in some way. For people know it's bad. They know the business is tough. They want to know what businesses are doing to address these issues. How are they cutting costs? What are they doing looking forward? So there's that issue. But really, there's a lid on the market right now. We have all sorts of issues. In Europe, we have the central banks meeting tomorrow. And, of course, in the U.S., they're still fighting over the stimulus package. And we have the big jobs report on Friday. So that's really kind of keeping the markets in check right now. But, yeah, it's very interesting that we kind of joke, although it's not funny, that investors are numb to all these bad numbers, but they really are. I think they know times are tough. They really want to know what are companies doing about it to address it as they look forward, although we know you can't look too far down the road because who knows what's going to happen.
No, exactly. That's why we don't see a lot of companies giving guidance, and Costco is the latest example of that this morning. Now, to get back to Matthew's earlier point, which we started on, which was that now we should start scaling into the market. Charles thinks maybe be a little bit more aggressive. You know, talk about a little bit more about that, how you would scale in, and then to the point that I asked Charles about, how do you scale out if you think we're in a trading range? Is that what you think we're in?
Yeah, I definitely think we're in a trading range. Why I would scale in is while the 7,800 level seems to be holding, if God forbid it doesn't, the next support level is around 7,200. And I wouldn't want to get caught if the market ends up going down there.
Or a huge drop, yeah, another 500-point drop.
So, yeah, I'd look to slowly start to get in, but then around that 8,500 level, we would start to get short, actually, because
so you guys agree
play
on
that trading.
Yeah, for the most part, we're I think, you know, some call it a sling blade, some call it a Kaiser blade.
Yeah, but it's funny in a lot of ways because people say, I think one of the most overused cliches is this it's a stock picker's market or trader's market. I mean, I don't know what other kind of market would it be, but it really is.
It really is.
You can't just trade you can't just buy and hold. It seems to be out, right?
It really does. And buy and hold, the whole buy and hold philosophy is really getting hammered. And you know, it's hard. I think hard for the average person. It's one thing to say, yeah, Warren Buffett can do it. He's got an incredible time horizon. But when the average person keeps looking at their stocks getting hit over and over again.
But another term we also overuse a bit is what's priced in. This is priced in, this is priced in, this is priced in. At this point, is everything priced in, Charles?
Oh, you know, it's on Friday, if it turns out we lost 600,000 jobs last month, you could argue that that's not priced in, but the psyche of just a devastating number is priced in.
Yeah. It is. We'll be curious to see how bad that number really is. All right, thank you, Charles. Matthew, good to see you. Thanks for coming in again this morning. We appreciate it. That does it for us here on Fox Business Morning.
And Money for Breakfast with Alexis Glick is coming up next. Have a good morning, everybody.